The Life Coaching Toolbox Podcast is brought to you by Joeel and Natalie Rivera of Transformation Academy. In this episode, Natalie talks about how you can grow your brain with the power of neuroplasticity. This episode is one of 5 episodes in a series about life coaching your clients and the growth mindset.
Everyone knows that when you lift weights repeatedly over time, your muscles grow bigger and get stronger. And then when you stop exercising the muscles, they shrink again and they get weaker. But most people don't know that when they practice an activity or they learn new information, that their brain actually changes and gets stronger, much like a muscle. So it's kind of fun to understand neuroplasticity and why it matters. You see, the brain is made up of billions of tiny nerve cells called neurons that are all connected together through a network of over 1 trillion tiny branches, which are made up of dendrites, which are the receivers, and axons, which are the transmitters. So every time we think or act, it's because these neurons are communicating by sending signals through their dendrites all the way to whatever location is needed to trigger the cell to act. So the signal itself is a chemical called a neurotransmitter. Actually, there's lots of them. And these signals are responsible for every step you take, for your heart beating, and for your thoughts and for your emotions, basically everything. So you might have heard the phrase, neurons that fire together, wire together. And what this means is that certain neurons connect to each other through a chain or a network of pathways from one area of your brain to another. And when you use a certain pathway or wire repeatedly, the connection between the neurons strengthens. And this process is called myelination. And it literally involves a protective coating encasing the wire, like the rubber coating that goes over an electrical wire. This myelin sheath makes signals able to move faster, which the brain loves because its primary goal is efficiency. So when you repeat a behavior or an action or an emotion or a thought over and over and over again, the pathway responsible for sending the signal becomes stronger and it becomes easier and easier to continue to repeat this. This is how skills are developed and habits are formed. And it's also how emotional triggers are created and negative patterns are formed. So whether the outcome is good or bad, whatever you do repeatedly changes the physical workings of the neural connections in your brain. But interestingly, it isn't only these connections that are strengthening, it's the entire brain. In fact, scientists have found that the brain literally grows bigger or heavier, just like a muscle. And what's important to know is that for many years, scientists believed that the brain loses its ability to grow and change early in life. But they now have proof that even old brains can change by developing more connections and strengthening those wires. So now I'm going to tell you the truth about smart and dumb. Most people believe that their and everyone else's intelligence is fixed. You're born smart, dumb, or average, and your capacity for learning is determined by what you're born with. But interestingly, no one thinks babies are stupid because they can't talk or read or solve equations. Those things, of course, are learned with practice and exposure. And babies can't even walk until their muscles get stronger, right? Well, we don't question this, but somehow we've been tricked into believing that after a certain point, you're either smart or not, and that's just the end of it. But the truth is that while there are minor variations between people with some innate predispositions, the factor that contributes to a person's level of intelligence at any age is their exposure to information and experience combined with the amount of time that they spend learning. The truth is that intelligence can be grown just like any other physical capability can be improved. It takes work and it can be challenging, but this is also the case for a weightlifter who wants to increase their strength or a runner who wants to increase their speed. So here are some brain research fun facts. When people practicing playing an instrument have their brains scanned, it actually shows that the brain part of the brain that moves the fingers grows larger. Another one, Cab drivers who must memorize vast detailed geographical data have much larger hippocampuses, which is the area of the brain that's responsible for memory. Another one, while scientists used to think that we had a fixed amount of brain cells for the whole lifespan, they now know that we grow new brain cells every day and that we grow even more new ones when we're learning new information or skills. Here's another one. Twin rats were raised in two different environments, multiple sets of twins, where one twin was put in a bear cage and another was put in a cage filled with enriching activities. And not only did the enriched rats turn out to be smarter and more physically healthy, their brains were actually heavier and they had more neural connections. So how does all of this relate to confidence? Because just like someone's intelligence can be improved through exposure to information and through practicing, so can someone's confidence. Just like the musicians and cab drivers and rats, our brains can be developed. They can grow. So when it comes to developing greater confidence, understanding that the brain can grow and change helps us know the two most important things that we need to know about developing confidence. First, that you can change your brain, your intelligence, your capability, and your confidence. They are not fixed traits. And this is why the growth mindset is so important. And then second, the way you grow and improve is through exposure, learning, and practice.
Visit transformationacademy.com/toolbox to download free life coaching worksheets that go with the activities discussed in this podcast, plus other resources for creating a thriving life coaching business.